So in the last video, we just did a little bit more cheat prevention to make it so if the client tried to change the amount of items they had, they just flat out couldn't. Now, kind of what I want to do. So for example, I pick up a med kit and bread. If I use the, let's say I use the med kit and then I use the bread. So this is my inventory now. Then I pick up bread again. Well, it's at that same slot. I kind of want to go through and start working on that a bit. So that way, well, one, we can just flat out get rid of it, and two, it'll set our inventory to start from the top left and work its way back over to keep it a little bit cleaner. So when we go to use the item, we call use item, let's go to it. Right here, we find the item, we subtract it. What we can do is if the item is, invalid equals 0. So if item dot stack, son of a gun, stop doing that. Stack count is less than or equal to 0. We want to remove it from the array. So we want to get the index. So that's going to be, what do you call it? Inventory items dot, we're not going to have many items probably, but we have fine, and this should return. Can even show me what it's going to return? This returns, okay, so this just checks if it has it in it. So we want to get the actual index. So we can do a normal for loop if we wanted to, which actually wouldn't be a bad idea. I really love the layout of for each loops in this, but well, it is what it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a uint 8, I equals 0, while I is less than inventory items dot num, and we increment I. So from here, we want to actually, screw it. I think this will actually be cleaner to keep it the same and just do uint 8 index and set that equal to 0. So on each run, we're going to increment. So after this, we check it, we do an increment like so. Then we do the next check and so on. So we're going to get the index right here. So inventory items at index. Sorry, it's inventory items dot remove. We're going to, actually, I guess we technically could just use remove, and this removes what? Okay, so we can pass in the actual object. So we can do remove, and then just pass in item. So we don't actually need the index. Perfect. And that should also replicate that as well. So out of curiosity, let's do inventory items dot, there should be a resize. Let's see, is it shrink? Why are you not showing me the parameters or what it does? Or elements currently in it. I don't think shrink is it. There should be something to, let's see, reset. All right, I'm just going to look it up online since IntelliSense is being worthless. All right, so I'm just going to try shrink and see the size of it. So let's print it out. We're going to %d inventory items dot num. Before, I guess, shrunk. And then we'll just see what it says. Okay, so build failed. Let's see, let's close down the editor and actually give it a recompile and see what it actually, more information. Okay, it doesn't take left hand. Is it referring to these here? Probably wouldn't hurt if I actually read that a little farther. Okay. Oh yeah, that's right, because we can't do a comparison with structures, so that's going to obviously fail. So we do in fact need the counter so we can remove an element at a specific place. So uint8 index equals 0. And after each one, we're going to increment the index. And we're going to switch to dot remove at index. And then the next parameter, I think it's shrinking. Count, just leave it at 1. And then shrinking equals true. Actually, those are already set by default, which I want. So I'm going to leave those. Now let's give it a try. That should work. Yep. All right. Now that we're back, let's try to look at the logs here. I'll pick up all 3. So let's see. Am I being blind? Shouldn't we have a... Oh yeah, that's right. If the item stack is less than or equal to 0. So before shrunk 1, then shrunk was 0. Okay, so if we try it with 2 items, so I'll pick that one up and then this one up. When I click on one of these, it should say before, I think, 2 and then 1. Yep, before shrunk 2 and then after the shrunk 1. All right, cool. So that is working. Let's... I think, wasn't I calling the onRep? No, the onRep's over there. So that also, in the process, happened to break that. So when we remove it, we are breaking the remove from index. So we're no longer actually getting rid of the item, which is a problem. So when we do it, we're not getting the value. So what we need to do is set up, we're going to probably have to do this in another video because it's getting, crap, it's 3:40 in the morning. Let's go to our inventory widget. And we're just going to have to kind of see what exactly is getting called. So we could actually do this inside of our character just to see, because we have that simple function right here. We can do it on the branch. Let's do a print string. So for true, let's see. This is adding item. And then there's false. We're going to do updating item. Good enough. We pick up 2. And we... Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot to link them back up. Whoops. Here to link them. Okay, so we click it. Updating item. Click it again. And nothing at all seems to be happening. So it's not running to either. So should blah, blah, blah. Oh, so that's printing that out. So I can clean up our should add new item. Okay. So we should see something regardless, unless it's just not firing. Updating item. And then nothing. Okay, so let's see here. We can kind of look through it and try to figure out, I guess, roughly why. Because we're removing that, we break out of the loop. If we're locally controlled, we fire the onRep. We want to launch this through the debugger and see if where we're at. Okay, let's reopen the items. And I'm just going to set a breakpoint right at the where we set the index. So pick up 2, drop 1, go there. We can step through everything. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and continue. Pick it again. Item class is equal. We subtract. That's correct. We remove it. Break we go is locally controlled. We call the onRep. So we are calling the onRep. Okay. Well, if we're calling the onRep, maybe it's because there are no inventory or no items left. So let's see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this and it should disappear. Okay, so that's not it. Let's try. Put a breakpoint here. Oops. Continue. Drop it. Okay. So this is failing here. I guess ultimately we can probably get rid of the check because that is preventing it when we only have, well, when we remove it entirely. Okay. And then you're throwing an exception because we're out of range. Yeah, that's right. So that's why we have it. So we are in a little bit of a difficult spot. Let's see, how do I get back to the debugger? We have a problem. We have to check the number, obviously. However, when we go through and try to update, we have a bit of a problem. So, we are removing them from the inventory. However, we have to at the same time pass that inventory item in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to construct an empty item here if it's invalid and go from there. So let's copy this, do an else, paste it in, and let's construct a f inventory or f item data like so, and that should hopefully allow us to run it. And then we can try to take care of the rest in Blueprint. Isn't debugging fun? And I probably should have actually launched with the debugger. Pick up 2 items, click, click. Okay, so it is updating the item now, so it's actually being called. So we can go through and we're calling update item. Link these back up, get rid of the prints, we call update, go through. And let's see, what I want to do is do a check in here, because I want to check, and I will print out the string of the item stack. So let's do a print string. And it had stopped. Or the cast. So the cast is now failing. So my question is, if that's the case, we could probably do a test beforehand and see that we have the total number of items. So we can do a comparison. Let's print out the length of the array. So, says 1. Should still say 1. Say 1. Say 1. And now let's wait for those to go away. 0. Okay, so when this value changes, we can remove the items as we see fit entirely because they no longer exist. So when we call update, we just have to figure out which ones we actually need to go through and remove. Let's see, because that's going to be a little bit of a challenge, so we have to iterate through, kind of like what we're doing now. Let's see here. So let's get this and get the length. So if the array elements are less than the total number of items, indicating that we have lost an item, let's do a branch. And if it's false, we want to continue through and just update. If it's true, we want to have another function to clean this up, and let's call it remove item. And we're going to call it up here. Okay, so let's do a print string. Need to remove item, and let's confirm that this works as intended. So we're going to pick up one of each. So we'll drop, need to remove item, and we drop, need to remove item. Let's pick up two of each. 1, 2, 1, 2. Nothing. Need to remove item. And when that appeared, we're having an issue because we have not resized it. So that is going to work as intended. So when we remove the item, we want to get the total number of items. And we want to decrement it. Actually, I want to leave the print string there. And this should, in theory, work. So let's do 1, 2, 1, 2. Drop it, nothing. Drop it, need to remove. Drop it, nothing. Drop it, need to remove. Okay, so now we just have to handle everything inside of this function here to remove that specific item from the widget. So to make this easier, let's go ahead and just take in the array as a parameter. So item data as an array, let's call it current inventory. On save, we have to pass in that array again, and we can handle it in the next video. So in the next video, we're going to go through to figure out which slot we need to remove. So pretty much we're going to figure out which one does not exist and go from there. So if it doesn't exist, we want to pretty much get rid of it. So we subtract total number of items based upon whichever one does not exist. So hopefully that goes smoothly, but regardless, this video is going on excessively long. So I'm going to save everything, and I will see you in the next video. So if you like what I'm doing and you want to help support me, you can find a link to my Patreon down in the description below, where I have a Team Deathmatch series just for Patrons, as well as you get early access to pretty much all of my videos. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to join my Discord server that's also linked down below, and I'll try to help you out. So I'll see you in the next video.